Hey everybody, how are you this evening? It's me, Stephanie, from Your Fertile Self. How's it going? And let's see. Hey everyone, it's me, Stephanie, from Your Fertile Self. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone's having a great evening. If it's evening where you are, like it is for me. If it's daytime where you are, I hope you're gearing up for a great day ahead. So right now it is 7:30 in the evening where I live in Washington, D.C. And I was hoping to be able to do this video during the day, but where I'd have like natural light, and now we're getting into that time of the year when it's days are getting shorter and it's actually already dark outside, so that's kind of a bummer. But so hopefully next time, I'm in a room that gets a lot of natural light, so hopefully next time I chat with you I'll be able to do it during the day. But so anyway, but it's the evening right now. So it's 7:30, my son, it's right in the middle of bedtime for my son, and I usually do bedtime, but oh hey Christina, how are you? It's great to see you. So my son is right in the middle of going to bed. I usually do bedtime, but we do stories and snuggles. I usually do bedtime, but my husband is doing bedtime tonight so that I could chat with you. So I'm really happy to be here, and really looking forward to having a great conversation tonight about I wanted to share with you my story about how I am kind of reclaiming my life and reclaiming myself after my journey of trying to conceive. So it actually is kind of funny because my son was actually born 3 years ago, and my journey came to an end 3 years ago, and I was kind of on the TTC path 4 years ago. So it's kind of funny that it's kind of just now that I'm starting to kind of get back around to finding myself again. But sometimes, this path, it can just take over your life. It is all consuming, especially if you're in treatment. All the doctor's appointments, all the checkups, all the tests, all the medications you have to take, and all the shots you have to give yourself, and just all the things you have to keep track of. And if you're not in treatment, there's all the taking your temperature every day and tracking your cycles and checking your fertility signs and wondering when it's going to be the right time to start trying for that month, and then kind of all the stress of the 2-week wait and how that can just take over everything. And it's just there's just so much going on this path, and when it's something that you want so much, and when that goal that you have, you're working so hard to build your family and have a baby, you're just kind of trying to do everything in the name of reaching that goal, and it can just take over your life. It definitely did for me, and sometimes you don't even really realize that it's happening until you kind of are in this place where you're like, oh my gosh, I've kind of lost myself. And that is what happened to me as well. Like I said, my son was born 3 years ago, and I was down this path, a few years ago. But I didn't really realize start to realize that I'd kind of lost myself until just a few weeks ago. So I went kind of for a few years, just kind of plodding along. And a few weeks ago, at the beginning of September, I was at an event. I was at a Bruce Springsteen concert. I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. I've been a big Bruce fan since I was 14. I'm 46 now, so you can do the math. It's been a really long time, like over half of my life. I just love him. And I was at a Bruce Springsteen concert. He came to DC, and he played at Nationals Park, where the Washington Nationals play baseball. And I went to the concert. I kind of went by myself. I was with a friend of my husband's, so kind of an acquaintance of mine, and someone that I'm friendly with, but not really a super close friend. And so we were at the show together, and since we're not super close friends, we talked some, but we didn't really talk very much. And so I was really more focused on kind of enjoying the concert and just having a great time. And maybe if I'd been with a friend, I would have been more social, but I kind of wasn't. And so I was kind of keeping to myself. And during one of the songs, I don't really remember now which song it was that was playing, but during one of the songs, I was kind of dancing and just singing along and having fun. And this feeling just came over me. when I just realized to myself, like, wow, I'm really happy right now. I am, like, not only am I just, like, really happy, but I just feel so alive right now. And I was like, wow, I haven't really felt this way in a really long time. And it's kind of ironic because Bruce Springsteen, if you've ever been to one of his concerts, that's one of kind of the standard phrases that he uses, is he says, "Is anybody alive out there?" So it's kind of funny that that's the kind of the thought that came into my head, and it was actually before he said that during that particular concert. But I just was like, wow, I feel really alive and I feel really happy, and I haven't felt this way in a really, really long time. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I really, really need to kind of, music has always been like a big passion of mine, and I kind of let it get away. And I was like, when I had this feeling at the concert, I was like, I really need to bring, have more music in my life again, so I can feel this way more often. And so that was that happened, and then so I kind of thought about that for a day or two, and then it kind of petered off. And then last week, I'm in a group where it's with some friends of mine, and we're doing like a Secret Santa gift exchange. So one of the ladies sent out a questionnaire so that you could fill out, and then your Secret Santa could know kind of a little bit about you, and so she'd know what to get for you for the gift for the holidays coming up. And so I'm filling out my questionnaire last week, and one of the questions was, do you prefer sports, like watching sports or playing sports, or do you prefer music? And for me, like, my go-to answer my whole life, I mean, I love sports, but for me, my go-to music my whole life has always been music. So just kind of without even thinking about it, I said music. Music is what I love. And when I wrote that, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, kind of remembered the experience at the Bruce Springsteen concert, and then I was like, wow, I never really go to music anymore. I never really have music in my life anymore. I mean, beyond just going to concerts, I don't really listen to music. Like I used to, back in the days of CDs, I used to have a really huge CD collection, and I would in my house, I would listen to music, while I was cleaning or while I was doing stuff, or at the end of the day, after dinner, I'd sit around and, listen to music. And I was like, wow, I never do that anymore. And it's something that I love so much. So here I am saying that music is something that I really love on this questionnaire, but it's something that I never do. And that was really eye-opening for me. And it was just kind of reaffirmed that that's something that I needed to bring back into my life. So after that, I sat down, I took an hour, and I sat down and I made a list of a few things that I used to love and that I used to do and that made me really happy, that I feel like I'm not really doing anymore. And I included music, sort of either going to watch music or, listen to music more in the house, or, kind of try to find new music that I like to listen to. So I had music on the list, and I play music too, so I kind of included that, but to a lesser degree. Exercise, and exercise is not something that I love, but it's something that makes me feel good, and I do enjoy it. So I'm always, so I included that, and I included cross stitch, embroidery. It's something else that I really love to do that I kind of never do. So I looked at these things, and I was like, well, when was the last time I really, did these things on a regular basis? And I figured out that it was shortly before, kind of petered off on doing those things when I started trying to conceive 4 years ago. And, before that, I was exercising a lot. I was super healthy, and kind of during my journey, I was exercising a lot in the name of trying to conceive and being healthy. And I kind of pursued my other interests at that time as well, and I just never really kind of resumed them after I had my son. And so at that time, when I made this list, I decided that I was going to make a plan for kind of incorporating these things back into my life again. So I wanted to share that story with you, and kind of share with you kind of some other tips that I had for ways that we might be able to kind of reclaim ourselves on this path. And I think it's important to do that. Balance, it's about achieving balance in our lives. And that's something that's always been very interesting and important to me. I mean, even before I was trying to conceive, I mean, when I used to work full time, I was very interested in balance. And, I was very career oriented, and I was very driven, and I was, I worked long hours, and I was always like trying to work for that next promotion, and so I was always very interested in sort of how to cultivate, having greater balance in my life, so I wouldn't just be all about my job. And it's the same thing on the fertility path. We don't want to lose ourselves, and it's very important to take that time to reconnect with ourselves, because it takes our mind off of the fertility path, and as I mentioned already, it can be totally all-consuming. It's a great opportunity to take a step back and do other things that aren't related to trying to have a baby. And it can give us the, in addition to just kind of making us feel better and be happier, it really gives us sort of that reconnection with ourselves, and it gives us the energy that we might need. It kind of can give us a recharge that we might need to continue going on the path. And it just makes us happier and enjoy our lives more. So I think it's really, really important. So my first suggestion is kind of what I mentioned that I already did. Take an hour and just sit down and make a list. And it doesn't have to be a super long, exhaustive list, maybe 2 or 3 things to keep it manageable. Make a list of those things that you love and those things that just make you feel so alive and just so happy to be alive. And really try to remember what they are. And if you're having trouble remembering what they are, try to think about the last time you felt that way and what were you doing at that time. And chances are that's probably something that would be on your list. So like I said, for me, it was kind of music, exercise, and, cross stitch. So take the time to do that. It doesn't have to be like a super long, exhaustive exercise. It really probably only would take like an hour or so. And then the second thing would be to actually schedule time to do those things. Nothing is real until it's scheduled on our calendar, on our phone, till it's sort of official. So for me, I decided that how I was going to bring more music into my life was, try to go out and see more music, but that's not always feasible. So I want to listen to more music at home. I want to make an effort to kind of find a new musician to kind of support and follow that I love. So I've been kind of actually starting to kind of do some online investigation for that. And just really listen, make an effort to listen to music more. So I spend a lot of time on public transportation, and I go into DC pretty frequently on public transportation. It's like an hour each way on the bus. So that's a great time to listen to music, I decided. So I'm kind of a news junkie, so when I'm on public transportation, I'm reading my phone, especially right now, just reading about the horrible election coverage. Just so glad that's going to be over pretty soon. So I decided last week that for the foreseeable future, I'm no longer going to read my phone on public transportation. I'm going to be listening to music. And if you saw my post earlier this week, I was listening to music and I got on the wrong train because I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. But that's okay, because it actually gave me some more time to listen to music. It put me in a great place, and I wasn't late to where I had to go, so it all worked out fine. But it was just so funny that I got on the wrong train. I've lived here for 20 years. That's like a total rookie mistake. I've never done that before, or not in a really long time. But so that's kind of where I'm going to kind of make that effort to do that in my downtime. And I'm going to listen to music, and I'm going to look for other avenues to go out and see music. To talk to you tonight, I kind of thought about getting dressed up a little bit, but I decided, since music was a big part of my story, that I would wear one of my favorite concert t-shirts. This is my Fleetwood Mac concert t-shirt. And Stevie Nicks, who I love almost as much as Bruce Springsteen, she's coming to DC in a few weeks, and I originally did not get a ticket to go see her, but I think that now I will. So that's the first thing is just kind of figure out what those things are that you're missing, that you'd like to have back. Just a few. And then schedule them. A third suggestion is to try to, when you can, try to schedule for yourself a change of scenery. When I was trying to have my baby, I had my first miscarriage. And shortly after my first miscarriage, my husband and I went on vacation to London. And it was not really planned that way, but we actually had planned the trip a few months before that. And it was originally thought of as this is going to be our last big vacation before we have a baby. We weren't pregnant yet, but that was the thinking. And then I got pregnant and ended up having a miscarriage and finding out about finding out that I'd lost the baby about a week before we were going to go to London. So the timing kind of sucked, and it wasn't the best vacation. I mean, we still had a really great time, but probably not as great as we would have if we were still pregnant and having expecting a baby. But it ended up being like exactly what the doctor ordered. We had a lovely week in London. The weather was actually good, and it was a low-key kind of vacation. I had a DNC right before I left, so I was still kind of recovering from that, so we didn't exert ourselves too much. But it ended up just being exactly what the doctor ordered. It was a wonderful, wonderful change of scenery. And just to have the chance to kind of be away from kind of all the stresses of home. And of course I thought while we were there, I thought nonstop about the baby that we had just lost. But I mean, I think that being somewhere else just really kind of helped me process that loss a little bit better. And so just having that opportunity to kind of take yourself out of your usual space and go somewhere else where you're maybe eating different food, just kind of experiencing an entirely different set of surroundings. It can just do wonders for rejuvenating your spirit and for reconnecting with yourself. Now, it doesn't have to be a trip to Europe, and it's not always feasible that it's going to be a trip to Europe. It could even just be, taking an afternoon and driving out to the country and going and seeing scenery. Really just anything that can rejuvenate your spirit and help you reconnect with yourself. I'm super excited because in about a month I'm going to be going on a retreat. And this is something else that the last time I went on a retreat, a women's retreat, was when I was trying to have my son. So that's something else I haven't really done in a really long time. And I'm super excited. A wonderful, wonderful, lovely, dear, dear friend of mine is running the retreat. And it's like an hour from where I live, and it's going to be great food, and we're going to do yoga and meditation. I don't know anyone else going. I know there's like 15 people that are going. I don't know any other people except for my friend who's running it. And I'm just so looking forward to the opportunity to just kind of get away from home and get to kind of a new space and kind of, do some things that are good for myself and my spirit. And connecting with kind of some new people. And so I would suggest, anytime you can get a change of scenery, no matter how minor it might seem, again, it can just be 2 hours out in the country, just really whatever works for you, but whatever will give you kind of that time and that opportunity to kind of reconnect with yourself and give you some restoration and rejuvenation. It's very important. Time with our friends and our loved ones is also critical. This journey can be very isolating. We often feel so alone on the fertility path. We tend to isolate ourselves also, and it can just kind of really, make an already difficult process even more difficult. So actively, again, kind of schedule it, actively seeking out time with people that we love can also do wonders for helping us reconnect with ourselves. I'll be the first person to admit I'm not the best at this. I am notoriously bad about staying in touch with people, and when I get kind of all consumed and wrapped up in something, I just kind of tend to cut myself off. When I'm sad and upset, I kind of tend to cut myself off from people as well. And when I was on my fertility path, I went for months without seeing anybody except for my husband and my doctor. So I'm not good at it. It's something that I need to work on for myself, but it's very important. The kind of thing about that, though, that is really you need to be mindful of is we need to be selective on who we choose to kind of spend our time with. When we're on this path, you know, if all our friends have kids, or they don't really understand what you're going through as far as, you know, trying to have a baby, or if they make you feel bad, or if they trigger you in some way, you know, they might not be the right person to kind of spend time with. I mean, during this time when you're on this journey, it's important to make sure you seek out the people who bring you up and who make you feel very loved and very happy to be around them, and not the people who bring you down. So spending that time with our friends and our loved ones is so important, but it's just important to make sure that we are kind of selective in who we do spend that time with. So that's just a little kind of caveat there. But it's very important. And it's also very important, I think, you know, to basically give ourselves the permission to take ourselves away from the fertility, the demands of the fertility journey sometimes, especially when it's something that we want so much and we're doing everything in the name of trying to get further towards our goal of having a baby. You know, we think that just kind of everything we do is because of that. You know, we're trying to eat healthy so we can be healthier to have a baby. We're trying to do acupuncture so we can increase our chances of conceiving. You know, we do exercise because, you know, we know that'll make us healthier. We take supplements, you know, and those are all great things to do, and those are all things that will make us healthier and stronger. But I think sometimes, at least I know that I did, when I was trying to conceive my son, I felt like, you know, if I wasn't doing something specifically towards my goal of trying to conceive, that it wasn't time well spent. So I didn't really give myself that permission to continue to live my life. And I think it's so important because here I am, you know, 3 years later, and still kind of not really living my full potential, and just really kind of starting to get myself back again. And, you know, if we try to, while we're on the path, if we try to do as much as we can to not stray in the first place, then there's less work that we have to do later. And it's okay to take an hour or so out of a day to go have lunch with a friend and connect with her. It's okay to, you know, take a few hours and drive out to the country and take a long walk by a river, and it's not necessarily about trying to have your baby. I mean, it's okay, and it's really important, and I think we as women, we often feel like we have to be all things to all people, and we often don't give ourselves the permission to really take the time that we need for ourselves and for rejuvenating ourselves and our souls and our spirits. So, you know, give yourself the permission to do that. It's really important. And not only will it kind of help you feel better in the short term, but it will help make you happier to continue on your journey. So those are just a few of my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. If you have any comments or questions, I would just love to hear from you. I wish you all well. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And I just wish you all the very, very best. And I'll keep you posted on kind of how I'm proceeding on my path. Hey, Rachel, how are you? It's great to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in. You're so inspiring. So, you know, I think that's kind of wraps up kind of what I had to talk about tonight. So I wish everybody a terrific, terrific, wonderful evening, and look forward to chatting with you sometime soon. Thank you so much. Bye.